So here we are again.
Oh, we're back. We're in it.
Second time.
Oh, we're doing it. All right, we're here. Yes. Welcome.
Still untitled.
Welcome to the Untitled Podcast. If you got any names, we'll love to hear them because we still have nothing,
I'll redo the art, I suppose.
apparently. Do you want to get into it?
Let's do it.
All right. There was a Sony conference recently that was pretty much
PlayStation.
I think, highlighting one thing, but they were like, oh, we have a few other things in there.
Yeah, I think they mentioned a number of video games that you and I don't really care much about, but if your mileage may vary. They mentioned Marathon, Bungie's new game. They mentioned the new Metal Gear Solid remake, but the big one,
Metal Gear Solid?
no, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man
the boy.
2.
Yeah.
The sequel.
The sequel to Spider-Man, but not the sequel to Spider-Man Miles Morales, but also kind of the sequel.
Kind of the sequel, yeah. The gameplay footage had you play as Miles for a pretty healthy portion of it.
Right.
So you get to play as both.
So have you ever played Batman Arkham Knight?
Oh, yeah. All three.
So do you think they're going to have that kind of same style where you can switch between like Nightwing and Batman mid-combat?
It seemed like during the trailer, you were able to switch between Peter and Miles, maybe only during moments where it's like appropriate to the story.
Yeah.
Not kind of whenever you want to, but Peter's going through it according to the trailer. So being Miles for a while is not going to hurt my feelings.
No, but okay. So with Peter going through it, there was a map in the gameplay because I've watched this maybe 3 or 4 times.
Sure. Okay.
There's a map in the gameplay where you can see Shocker. Have you seen the animated 90s Spider-Man show?
Yes.
Okay. So you remember in the scene where Black Suit Spider-Man is going after Shocker?
Yeah.
I really want that scene to happen because his voice is so angry in the video.
Yes.
That if he goes against Shocker, he could totally recreate that in a way where he's like so angry. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. I think so.
Yeah.
The 90s was a long time ago.
So it was when Shocker's going up like a bell tower of some sort, and then Spidey's hunting him, but he's so like in the whole show
aggro black suit Spidey,
which you never see in the rest of the show. Just that one scene, which is really funny. Anyways, I hope they recreate that.
Yeah, I hope they certainly don't go Sam Raimi Spider-Man 3 with this.
I don't think they will.
Symbiote suit.
I mean, he seems like, I don't know, like Miles is already like, whoa, this guy's unhinged. He kind of just threw that pedestrian.
Well, and we, props to Yuri Lowenthal, the voice actor for Spider-Man, Peter Parker. This guy's been in the industry for decades now at this point.
Yeah.
And doing Peter with the sort of vocal tremor and the like deep aggressive thing, that's probably a register he's familiar with from other characters.
Sure, yeah.
But it comes out like it's Peter's spooky in this.
He is spooky, which is so interesting. I'm so intrigued on like how Mary Jane's going to take it. I know Black Cat was, again, on the map kind of thing. Sure. She was in it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious if that's going to be...
The map thing you're referencing is so Kraven is the bad guy.
Right.
And Kraven basically says, I'm done in the jungle. This place isn't sport for me anymore. So one of his little henchmen is like, yo, why don't you go hunt in New York City? There's a whole bunch of people there. And it shows a bunch of different images of different characters.
Exactly.
Boy, man.
So we'll see. I also am curious if they're going to do like a Kraven's Last Hunt kind of rendition.
Interesting.
With Spider-Man in the black suit.
Interesting.
And considering there is another Spider-Man that can take up the mantle. We'll call him like Brooklyn Spider-Man.
Sure.
I really like that name. I recently heard that. But yeah, if they do that where Peter Spider-Man is kind of out of commission, they could just have Miles take up the mantle for a little bit, and then they could do a Kraven's Last Hunt.
Right.
But at the beginning of this whole phenomenon, they teased Venom at the trailer. So who is Venom? Is it going to be Harry Osborn? Is it going to be somehow Eddie Brock? Are they going to introduce him?
They'd have to set up Eddie, though. Like
they would.
Yeah.
But they already set up Harry, kind of.
Yeah.
So could it be Harry? Could it be Peter, where they just like...
That would be a fascinating change from convention. Harry, to my knowledge, has never been Venom, except in maybe Token or What If or like ancillary stories. But like as an iconic role, he's always ever been Peter's friend or his own version of the Green Goblin.
Oh yeah, rival of some sort.
Yeah.
So that would be really interesting. Do you know anyone else that you'd find fascinating to be Venom?
To be Venom. Well, I mean, Flash could be Venom. They could subvert the trope and they could do the Flash Venom where Flash Thompson became Agent Venom, where, the symbiote was able to regrow his legs. I mean, but become his legs essentially. Mm-hmm. And he became sort of the Venom for the American government because Flash had all that military experience.
That would be
They
really
could do that if they don't want to set up Eddie. And then, the suit could leave Peter and then go to the military, I guess.
But that seems, I don't know. Who knows where we're going to take it?
Yeah.
I'm intrigued regardless. I think they're going to set it up the same way where Craven was kind of like Mr. Negative in the first game.
Right.
And then Sinister Six is going to be the Venom of this game.
Oh,
so they're going to kind of build it. And then maybe like halfway through, Peter gets rid of the suit. I don't know. I'm intrigued on how that's going to go.
Yeah. That we could also see, given Sony's real big hard on for making Venom related content, we could see them doing like they did with Miles, a spin-off game for whatever Venom they set up in this game.
That would be really interesting.
So if they did a Flash or they did an Eddie, it doesn't have to be that he gets all of his screen time in this game.
Yeah.
Just like with Miles from the first one, they could sort of tee him up and then they could, actually make the shot with his own spin-off game.
Right, because it is, I'm not going to lie, kind of ambitious to have Venom in this game.
It's true.
Because they are, in a way, kind of pulling Spider-Man 3, where they're trying to do the black suit and Venom, and of course Craven.
Yeah.
Which is another big,
While giving time for Miles and the other characters. Now, a video game is going to be 20, 30, 40 hours maybe, so it's bigger than a movie, but still, I understand your point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it does help that Miles did get his own game, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. The combat looks great.
Speaking of the combat, Miles' combat style in the trailer anyway looked very different than Peter from the first game.
Mm-hmm.
He looked more like, you mentioned Arkham. He looked more like Bruce in Arkham, like, rappelling down and pulling somebody up to his thing. And then at the end, he was doing,
his
super Venom, Hadoukens at people and stuff.
Yeah. Which it seems new too. He seems like he's getting some new upgrades there.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for Spider-Man 2 for sure. Spider-Man 1 was pretty incredible.
It's probably my favorite game of all time.
It's pretty up there. Like I think the Arkham series is one of those series that just got better with age.
Yeah.
Like Arkham Asylum was the first one in that series done by Rocksteady, and that one was very cool. But you were just in the asylum.
Yeah.
And so there's a certain level of like, how many times can we just have them break out of the asylum if we want to keep this game series going on?
Yeah.
So they said, well, why don't we make half of Arkham
a part of the city? They just section off
half of Gotham is now Arkham City.
Yeah.
And then they did, let's do the entire Gotham City for the next game,
right.
Arkham Knight.
Did you ever watch, I think it was like I don't know if it was E3, but it was like some like award show for games, and they teased a third game when Arkham City got, like, when they won Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
They teased Arkham World with the Joker. I don't know if you ever saw that little Easter egg.
No, fascinating.
So it was like a already pre-animated thing, and it was Joker winning the reward, and he's like, oh man, I'd love to come back for the second or the third, and he pulls out a script saying Arkham World, and he's like, oops, spoilers.
So this is pre-Arkham Knight.
Yes.
After City. Wow.
And it was Arkham World, which to me sounds more fascinating.
That would have been more interesting than I thought Arkham Knight was fine.
Yeah.
But Arkham Knight felt like it wasn't far enough away from Arkham City
mm-hmm.
to be really interesting. The point I'm trying to make here ultimately though is that those games to this day are still fun to play. The gameplay is unique and interesting. It makes you feel like Batman.
Mm-hmm.
You can take apart mooks and thugs relatively easily. You've got all these cool gadgets. You can stealth take down people and stuff like that. You really felt like Batman.
For sure.
And the Spider-Man game did the same thing. And there's been other Spider-Man games where you don't really feel like Spider-Man quite as much.
Yeah.
But in these games, you're trying to help people. You're constantly overwhelmed, but the bad guys you can generally take out because Peter's pretty tough.
Yeah.
And the villains are just amazing in those games.
They're pretty stellar. Yeah.
So yeah.
One thing I am curious or concerned, my favorite thing about the first Spider-Man game was the suits. The suits were incredible.
There were a lot of them.
There was a lot of them.
Suits, a lot of cool suits.
And they looked great. And you could switch out and they could play like in the main story. It was awesome. I loved it. And I hope we get all the suits, if not more, in the second game.
Well, that's a good question.
Because it would bum me out if we have like, the Scarlet Spider suit and the 2099 and the Sam Raimi suit. And like in the first one, but we can't play in the second one.
Yeah. Feels
a little restricting.
Yeah.
But
well, if they're using the same engine and the same architecture, which a lot of these studios generally do, they don't necessarily, hyper pivot to an entirely new code, an entirely new engine or whatever. If they're doing the same thing, then a lot of that work is already done. They're just going to double down and give us more of what we love.
Exactly.
Hopefully, you know what I mean? Like fingers crossed. And that means that we just get new suits, new weird stuff. Although they put a lot of Spider-Man suits in the first one, so I'm sure there's more to pull from. But we're starting to like scrape the barrel here.
We are scraping the barrel, but you already have so much in the barrel that you can just transfer it over.
That's true.
Which is cool because you were mentioning like them using the same engine. I'm sure they are. So it's like the same New York. It's just expanded to like now we have like Queens, and then we had the East River that we saw. So I'm sure it's just gonna be more expansive.
Yeah, that's just more stuff, more
Cool.
gigabytes to download,
which is sweet. It's still the same city though, which it feels so much better in the first game because it's like the same thing in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The suits also, as I recall, would sort of subtly change your playstyle just ever so slightly.
Yeah.
That's a thing that Marvel games have done for a while because of the iconic changes in character looks. DC may or may not have done that as much. I know Gotham Knights didn't quite do it the same way.
No.
You kind of more had like a piecemeal ability to change the way your suit looked around, and that's kind of more stat based.
Yeah.
But there was a game that came out for Xbox 360, I want to say.
Okay.
Years ago now, called Marvel Ultimate Alliance, which is based on the Ultimate franchise. And in that one, they had a bunch of alternate suits that would change what your character could do. So you could not only change your roster, but you could change the suits on your characters in your roster.
Yeah, it was really sweet. Love me some Ultimate Alliance.
Very cool.
Did you ever play the third?
No, I have not. That's the one. That's the Black Order one. With,
on Switch.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Same actor for Spider-Man, Yuri Lowenthal.
Man, see, sometimes Marvel just gets it right.
Yeah,
they find this guy like Nolan North or a Steve Blum for Wolverine.
Yeah,
or a Yuri for Peter
Spidey.
Parker, and they just keep using them all the time
because it works.
That's an interesting point, though. Just briefly, there's going to be some voice cameos in Across the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
From, basically the entire lexicon of Spider-Man animated series.
Which is
going back into antiquity.
Yeah, which is coming out this week. So we're definitely going to be seeing that.
Yeah,
probably talk about it next week.
Yep, probably. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So before we see it, what is the one Spider-Man that you're most looking forward to seeing?
Most looking forward to seeing Spider-Man.
Want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right. Mine by far is Scarlet Spider. Still haven't seen him yet. Like, it is confirmed that he's going to be in
We're talking to Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider.
Correct.
So that's Andy Samberg's voice in the movie.
Sure.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty cool. That's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, I'm a big 2099 fan, so I'm already happy.
Yeah, you're already
Miguel
fulfilled.
O'Hara being in it. He's the villain, I'm going to say in air quotes, so I'm kind of disappointed by that. But I do like Spider-Man 2099 quite a lot. If I had any other Spider-Man that I wanted to see, I heard Doc Ock's Superior Spider-Man is going to actually be in it.
Oh,
but
like
not,
in it?
But not be a main character. I think he's going to be more of a physical cameo or maybe a voice cameo.
Because like
they haven't set up Doc Ock to be Peter and that whole thing.
Yeah, because if they were gonna implement him, like you'd really have to like give some time to him because such a history with that.
But I think that's a fascinating character, very different take on Spider-Man. So that would be fun to see, even if it's just a physical thing.
Yeah, because I know the 90s Spider-Man's probably going to be in it since he's so iconic as far as animation goes.
Yeah.
So I'm not too worried, but that is probably like that in Spectacular Spider-Man. Yeah. Those two I'm a really big fan of.
Yuri's definitely got to be in it. He plays the voice of several Spider-Mans that they could put in there.
Oh yeah.
Video game, several cartoons.
I mean, his suit was in the last movie.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. That's true. So from Spider-Man 2, let's keep the Marvel train rolling. I want to talk about the speculation. I want to talk about the rumors of the casting for Fantastic Four Phase 6.
This seems like to be switched up. Like, I swear, it's just like we're playing Yahtzee with who's like in the know of who's going to be playing these characters for the past like 3 years.
There's been a number of them. This one seems to have gained steam recently, so I don't know if, this will date the podcast at a certain point. Not that anything won't, but they're saying that Adam Driver is going to be Reed.
Okay.
Margot Robbie will be Sue Storm.
Yeah. Okay.
Her brother John will be Paul Mescal.
Who was that again?
So Paul Mescal is a late 20s Irish actor who's done a lot of television, some plays. He's done some movies. They're mostly all like emotional drama type stuff.
Okay.
He's recently butted into film a lot more, so this will be an opportunity for them to grab somebody that's sort of up and coming.
Oh,
rather than like a big name A-list actor,
right?
And then Daveed Diggs would be the voice of the Thing. Okay. If not motion capture, at least the voice.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do some pre-Orange Rock guy stuff with him too.
Yeah.
And Daveed Diggs we know as Sebastian in Little Mermaid. He was the voice of one of the Super Pet things. I think the Green Lantern one. I don't remember.
Oh.
So he's not without a lot of range. He's done a lot of voice work before, and he was famously in Hamilton for many years.
Right.
So
okay.
That'd be kind of fun to see. Of that casting though, What do you think? Just off the cuff, what do you think of those four?
Off the cuff, just right out the bat, I hate it. I'm not gonna lie.
It's not a Fantastic Four for you?
No, because I think like the first two, which I really have to just address, Adam Driver, I think is a really talented actor with a lot of range, and I think like performance-wise, he could probably nail it, but I don't think his look. Like, I think his look is the problem.
He doesn't have the typical English professor look that Reed is known for.
Which is unfortunate because, like, I haven't seen Adam Driver with short hair, which having to have longer hair is ambitious for Reed, since that doesn't strike me as the character, has never really been seen in the comics for the most part.
Right.
And it would just be a bold decision. As far as, like, the Widow Peaks go,
the silver
silver tips,
silver
fox. I mean, he's a good looking dude.
Yeah,
he could probably pull it off, but I don't know if he would pull it off in the sense of like that's Reed Richards.
Yeah.
And same with Margot Robbie. I think she has a look that is like Barbie attractive, but not like girl next door kind of feel, which is unfortunate because I think that's what Sue really needs. And I think like as far as Margot Robbie goes, I'd question if she'd be able to really pull off a really like strong Sue Storm. But again, she is very talented, so I'd be willing to like see it.
Yeah.
But I think there are way better choices out there. I think she's way too big at this point.
She's a very, very big actress, and she'd be fighting a little bit of the programming of the audience having watched her as Harley for so long and other things.
Especially being so good as Harley as well. Yeah. And then now her leading this Barbie franchise, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
So she is just this top tier actor that you don't necessarily need for this top tier role.
Yeah.
This role is like, this has been speculated for years at this point. So like whoever they do get, like there's going to be butts and seats. They don't need a huge name list actor to be able to sell it.
It's true.
So if they really want to go with talented, wise, kind of like what you were saying with The Thing and Johnny, I didn't know those two actors. That could be a little bit more of where I'm wanting.
That might be an advantage.
It could.
Yeah.
I mean, it could help with the up and comers. Look at Tom Holland.
That's true. I mean, it's funny in the Tim Story Fantastic Four films from around the X-Men era of like the early 2000s.
Oh yeah.
They had Jessica Alba, which was like Margot Robbie. She was a big actress at the time. Not that she's not a big actress now, but she was a very big actress at the time. She just finished doing Dark Angel and some other things. And Ian Gruffudd playing Reed was the lesser well-known actor.
Wow, did he nail it though?
He did a great job. He did an absolutely great job. The special effects, if anything, let him down, but because he did a great job. And then we have Chris Evans playing his first Marvel role as Johnny.
Which I'm not gonna lie, I also think he killed it.
At that time, though, he wasn't necessarily as big an actor as he later became.
No.
So probably more like a Paul Mescal. They got him for much less.
Yeah.
But their thing was also a big linchpin for their casting because they got Michael Chiklis, who absolutely knocked it out of the park, and he had been doing The Shield.
Yeah.
So he also was like top of mind for people that time. I mean, TV actor, sure, but people. Shield was a very well recognized show at that point.
Yeah.
So this time they're gonna have Daveed Diggs as the Thing. Probably, I mean, just like with Fan Fourtastic, the Chris Trank movie. They're probably going to do that as a CG character. Yeah. I mean, realistically speaking,
probably.
And then Paul Mescal, I'm sure has his major fandom, but hasn't quite blown up yet to the degree that we're talking.
Not in my wars.
So they're gonna put all their eggs in the power couple basket, it seems.
Okay. You actually made a really good point with Jessica Alba. I forgot about that because she was like kind of in Margot Robbie's position in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you like her in those movies?
I didn't dislike her, but I think that's the point you're making about Margot Robbie, though, is that I didn't find her casting to be like perfect. Like there wasn't a chef's kiss. Like, oh my god, I can see that character. Like when they announced John Barenthal is playing the Punisher, I'm like, oh yeah, perfect.
Are you kidding me?
Obviously perfect.
All right.
But Jessica Alba playing Sue Storm, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty good, and she did a perfectly good job. Ian Gruffudd playing Reed, great. I can see the same thing with Adam Driver and Margot Robbie. The problem is Julian McMahon playing Dr. Doom was awful.
Yeah.
Just absolutely awful. Which brings me to Doom. We haven't had a good Doom in a long time. And probably Fantastic Four comes really with a fifth cast as opposed to just the four. Who's going to be the Doom?
That's a great question. I know RDJ was looking to be Doom back in the 2000s.
Yeah, this is pre-Iron Man, right?
Yeah, pre-Iron
that's
Man.
fascinating.
Which honestly, looking at him, I could see it.
I could see it too.
Yeah.
I could see it too. I don't know that I believe RDJ when he tries to do accents, though.
No, not Sherlock Holmes?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
I pulled out my phone to look at it, and I forgot the name. Kate Mara. I think in the Fan Four Stick movie.
Oh yeah.
I actually think like that is a great performance or great casting for Sue, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Where she is like, yeah, she's very attractive, but she also like has like she can deliver quantum mechanics or just
she
like
had
really
that sort of mousy librarian-y type of quality, which maybe they were sort of
which is more
leaning
believable.
into costuming wise, leaning into performance wise, and that's fine. Shows range, if nothing else.
Right.
But it became plausible, became authentic. Yeah.
Which is kind of something I would personally look for when casting Sue Storm. But at the same time, Marvel kills it with castings.
Sue Storm has not historically been as gifted intellectually as Reed has. That's been something that they've sort of nursed along for a little while in comics recently. And historically, she was
like pre the Ultimate Fantastic Four, because she was
pretty
very
much
like that in the Ultimates.
Yeah, that's true. Probably something informed primarily by that.
Okay.
That Mark Miller-ish type, writing.
Interesting.
Usually she was. I mean, they've retconned her origin a number of times. At one point in the mainstream continuity, she became a SHIELD agent before she met Reed and that kind of stuff. But
Gotcha. She
was, back when the Fantastic Four were originally created, which was pre-Avengers, like the original Avengers.
Oh, okay. Yeah, what was she? Just kind of like
a kind of homemaker type.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's as disappointing as it is to say.
It's
indicative of the 50s when these characters were originally invented.
Yeah, which I can see why they had to put such a spin on it then to make her just interesting.
So leaving Paul Mescal and Daveed Diggs alone, just I mean, you can change them if you want to, but leaving those two in stone for just a moment.
Yeah.
Who would be your dream casting for Reed and Sue? If you could get anybody, including actors that have already played an existing Marvel character.
Oh, I mean, like I said, from the first Fantastic Four, man, did he just...
Ian Griffon did a good job.
As Reed, like when I think about him, like in those movies, man, does he just seem like a nerd. And even Miles Teller, I think, did a good job. I think eventually he could probably really...
I think he was in a bad film.
Yeah. I think everyone was in a bad film. Oh man! As far as I don't know, like John Krasinski was really talented.
John Krasinski was pretty good. I think the internet fell in love with that casting because I think in general, they could see him as Reed,
and I think everyone else could too, and that's why they did it. As far as like a outstanding Reed Richards for like the years to come, I think that's where it's not great because John Krasinski looks like a developed.
Veteran Reed.
Yes, exactly. With a family already.
Yeah.
Like where he was in Doctor Strange, that checks out. That fits. It makes sense. But as far as casting goes, you put me on the spot. I'm not sure at the moment.
It's hard. I'm not sure there is necessarily a good answer, which is probably what Marvel's feeling right now.
Which is, I mean, that's where I hope they find someone a little less known. Because, you don't need... This isn't Shang-Chi where you need like someone or you need star power of some sort to be able to pull that one.
Yeah. But even with Shang-Chi, Simu Liu wasn't like...
That's true.
Like huge.
He was. Okay.
He was. There was certainly a fire underneath his name that was like sending it up, but it wasn't quite the top of the stratosphere yet.
Maybe that's just where Marvel's at, where it's just Marvel, so you can make A-list actors out of whatever.
And sometimes it works when they put somebody big in a role. Like, say what you want about Ant-Man 3, but like when they put Paul Rudd in the first Ant-Man film, Paul Rudd is a big name.
Yeah,
but it still worked.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think it comes down to performance, commitment, whatever else is going on. When they put some other big name actors in some of these roles, you get what you get.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's good, and hopefully it works. Hopefully the casting is great, but you don't want to fall victim to what DC has done sometimes or what other studios have done sometimes, especially when they're doing voice work, unfortunately, where you just put a name in there because it's going to put somebody in the chair.
Right.
Because they didn't do that in the beginning. In the beginning, they hired people because they wanted to give a good performance. And we've heard stories for years of other people who tried out for Cap or Peter Quill or whatever
or Iron Man
that didn't get it.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, that guy's also a huge actor, but they really wanted to get the performance part of it in. And so I hope they haven't changed that metric.
Well, I think it'll show if we ever see Tom Cruise as Iron Man. Because that's exactly, I think, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Where it was like, huge actor playing Iron Man, but they didn't cast Tom Cruise. That guy would sell the movie. No, probably because his performance wasn't... It was a Tom Cruise performance.
Yeah.
Which, hey, I love me some Tom Cruise.
Sure.
Guy doesn't have the most range in the world.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
it would be interesting to see, like, those fun castings, especially in these like Secret War times where anything can kind of
Yeah,
happen.
like an alternate universe where they do a cameo or they do like an
John
action
Krasinski.
sequence
Yeah.
with a Krasinski or a Cruise as the superior
Or Patrick
Iron
Stewart.
Man or something. Yeah, exactly. Like pepper those guys in there for fun, but don't make them try and lead an entire film.
Right. Which I'm sure is going to be peppered quite a bit in the new Deadpool 3 movie.
Yeah.
Which is, by the way, filming right now. And it's a little touchy subject with that strike.
Yeah, but let's get into it. Let's get into it. Deadpool 3.
All right. Yeah, so the writer's strike is really affecting this one. Deadpool is just known to be off the cuff, kind of like sporadic.
Very extemporaneous.
And
jokes on jokes.
And I guess a lot of that is improv on the set on that day.
I'm not surprised. That's kind of how Ryan works.
Oh, for sure. And that's not allowed in this one.
Because he's a writer.
Right.
Oh, man.
And the last time this happened was also the last time you saw Deadpool and Wolverine in the same movie, X-Men Origins Wolverine. Because during that filming, there was also another writer's strike, which is ironic. So hopefully we don't go with that one. But also, I don't know, you were kind of mentioning before the show that you're saying that like they can hopefully get done with the writer's strike before all this even happens.
Well, so there are a couple things to sort of talk about here. The first of which is the way in which a big budget film is shot.
Yeah.
Is typically because you have a finite amount of money to finance that picture with. You want to get all your expensive stuff done first. And expensive stuff usually means beyond the part of spending money on CGI studios from wherever. It means stunts. So you're going to do all your big, aqua tank stuff, or all your hanging from rafters stuff, or all your, pulling somebody from a line to smash them through a fake wall type stuff.
Or even
and
like
a lot of that
city
stuff
shooting
doesn't need a lot of, jokes and quips and stuff. Or especially you could do that with stuff at ADR anyway. So it can be done later. But once that time period runs out, if we're still striking, that's when you start getting into your coverage material, which means you're starting to shoot people's dialogue scenes and that kind of stuff.
Right.
And you want to you have that padding of time on a big, AAA, big budget film.
Yeah.
Where they're not doing anything that's going to really rely on writers so much. It's mostly going to be choreography, stunting, and that kind of stuff. But when that's gone, you're really in the meat and potatoes now. Like you're in the weeds.
Which is, I mean, they can have a sort of pass with Deadpool because he has a mask on, and you can just have him like say whatever you want through the mask, and you can just do that in post.
ADR it, yeah.
Kind of works. But at the same time, what happens in July if the actors also go on strike?
Yeah,
that would just put the film on hold then.
Yeah, that'd put the film on hold.
Which is that's just unfortunate for all of us.
So is it just Ryan Reynolds that can't quip, or is everybody off?
So from what I'm aware of, it's just the writers who can't quip, as in they can't improv. So anyone that isn't a writer should still technically be allowed, aka like Hugh Jackman. So
Jackman can still riff, but nobody can feed him stuff if they're a writer.
God, isn't that funny?
So wow.
If Deadpool 3 gets even more meta with the writer's strike, that could be really funny. Wolverine's just trying to talk to him, and Ryan Reynolds can't say anything.
Break the fourth wall stuff. That'd be kind of funny.
Oh man, there's gonna be so much of that in this one, especially.
Yeah, there has to be.
Because of just the Fox MCU merger, this writer's strike, just everything going on in general.
Everything that happened since the last movie too.
Everything since the last movie, and Wolverine. They mentioned Wolverine died in the last one, so they have to mention how he's in this one. So there's a lot of that.
And you mentioned peppering in cameos and stuff, and we both heard that they're going to be putting in basically every Tom, Dick, and Harry from all of Marveldom that was sort of like outside the MCU closet.
Yeah.
They're going to bring in, James Marsden Cyclops. They're going to bring in Famke Jensen Phoenix. They're going to bring in Patrick Stewart, probably.
Yeah. Maybe both of them. Who knows? Yeah. Maybe they'll get both Professor X's, which would be...
or both Phoenixes. They could bring in Sophie Turner as well if they wanted to.
They brought the whole young X-Men cast in Deadpool 2.
That's true.
For that one hilarious
brief
cameo.
Scene. Yeah.
Boy, was that funny. And the worst part is, was that the last time we saw those characters? Or is Dark Phoenix after that?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Okay, that would be sad if it was. That cameo is the last time we got to see some of those. But
I'm not that disappointed. I don't like the Fox X-Men movies that much. But I understand your point.
Sure. I hope we get to see them. I think this is like the Deadpool movies are fun because they can be whatever in a way and they still work.
Even if we don't get to see them necessarily in another Fox film, it would be nice to give those characters a swan song, some kind of nice nicer send-off than what happened to them because of the Fox Disney merger.
Mm-hmm.
When Fox and Disney merged, there were I'm sure probably plans for more X-Men films in the work to bring them up to contemporary canon, because they were sort of running through the decades in the past to bring them up to the X-Men films.
Right.
And they hadn't quite yet gelled those two timelines correctly yet.
No.
And so we're never really going to see that now, because obviously Feige and the powers that be at Marvel have their own plan for the X-Men in the future.
Exactly.
And if they can do anything to try and allow them some kind of graceful exit, that might be kind of fun.
I would really appreciate if they did, mostly because I always have been a fan of those movies.
Sure.
Regardless if it's just been a wild ride to like watch them and just understand what they're trying to do.
Right.
But it would be a nice like kind of bookend to 10, 11 X-Men-esque films.
It's a pretty lengthy library now of films. Yeah.
So at this point, since it's been like referenced in the MCU as an actors wise, and at this point you kind of have to recognize like what they're doing, bringing those actors and playing those roles.
Yeah.
It would be nice to see that eventual bookend, which would be really nice to see at least. But we'll see.
So the film is filming now. Is there any understanding we have of what the subject matter of the film is going to be? Do we have any idea yet of what they're going to do?
Other than Wolverine being in it, I think that's
still
pretty much
all
it,
conjecture.
which is probably fair.
Crazy.
I'm guessing just maybe it'd be cool if it was Deadpool getting into the MCU, like if that was the movie. But they did mention that Cyclops and Negasonic Teenage Warhead will be also in it, the same actors as well.
Okay.
So, and then probably. What's the girlfriend's name?
Yukio.
Yeah, because it was the joke of like
she had like a meteor hammer, like some kind of chain thing.
Yeah, which was a bummer. She wasn't in it as much as I wanted her to be because I liked her weapons.
I'm not even sure what character she's supposed to be from the existing like comic universe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
My X-Men knowledge is pretty well honed, but I off the top of my head anyway, I can't bring up her character. Negasonic Teenage Warhead is a character from X-Men. Yeah.
I wonder if Cable's going to be in it.
Oh,
I didn't even think about him.
Well,
or Domino.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Or Fire Fist.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Can Fire Fist come back? That'd be funny.
I don't know.
That would be cool. I know Wade's friend. I forget what his name is.
The guy that runs the bar that he's friends with.
Yeah, I don't think his character's coming back.
I don't think so. Not that I think there's any room for him in the casting anyway at this point.
No, but I think there's some. I won't get into those weeds.
Sure,
I think actor drama around there. But yeah,
probably Blind Owl will be in it. If nothing else, probably just about like a physical cameo or just being there for a shot of some kind, because she's pretty funny in the comics anyway.
Okay,
that's the lady he lives with.
Yes. Okay. That's not set to come out this year, is it?
I don't know. I don't think so though.
Yeah, it seems way too.
Yeah.
Plus, if they're shooting right now, by the time post is done,
probably not.
No way.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay, which is good. Honestly, the more time for movies I'm really looking forward to, the better. Especially with the writers and soon maybe the actors strike.
Yeah,
there's gonna
Miranda Baccarin's in it too.
Oh,
that's Wade's girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
She didn't know for the longest time she was going to be in it either.
Yeah. Which isn't that crazy to be like one of the big like name actors on there and you're still like, I don't know. Yeah. I know the actor that plays Karen Page in the Daredevil show,
Deborah Ann Wall.
Yeah, she's still like, I don't think I'm gonna be in it.
Yeah, I don't know. The guy that played Foggy Nelson, and I'm usually pretty good with names, and I don't remember his, but I think both of them have sort of said they'd like to be part of it.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Marvel is at this point wondering if they want to inherit everything from the Netflix stuff, because technically the Netflix stuff isn't part of their current canon.
Technically, which is dumb, because if they use the same actors, then they're just kind of digging themselves into a hole.
True, yeah. But so if they willingly don't use all the actors, though, if they recast Karen Page, if they recast Foggy Nelson, then that puts up a more serious barrier between the two things.
It definitely does, which is a bummer, because both of those people were fantastic in their roles. So I'd love if they came back. It seems like I haven't heard anyone that were against them in their roles.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think there are people who are probably not as keen to bring back the Iron Fist actor, Finn something or other.
Yeah, which honestly, I do actually think his performance was the problem, weirdly enough.
Yeah,
which you can blame on the director at some point.
I agreed. Yeah, I think it's a combination of factors. I don't think he was physical enough to be Danny, and I don't think that the performances in the show were great. But I also think the whole structure of the show was just sort of like kind of poorly understood. The character origins of Iron Fist were kind of not on display as much as the sort of like character drama of the Rand Corporation and the two siblings that no one gives a shit about.
That's true. If it does, have a bigger budget, have a little bit better writers, directors, turn up that exposure a little bit so it's a little bit brighter for a Marvel show.
Yeah.
Maybe that could really help Iron Fist. Maybe actually put him in the costume or something like that. That'd be cool.
And use the fist more than like once every 3 episodes because it's expensive to do.
Yeah. I guess so. So hopefully that goes well. I like when they have these huge continuities and tie them in like they did within Humans and Doctor Strange. I think that was a good pull.
And see, that kind of thing is them saying, what can we do that's fun for the fans?
Yeah.
If more than anything else.
Sure.
Because obviously we know Inhumans isn't canon for all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Not that type of anyway.
Yeah.
We know that, Reed could be played by anybody we want. Doesn't have to be Krasinski. And yet they said, no, but we think it's going to be fun for the fans to see Stewart back, to see Krasinski as Reed, to hear that X-Men animated series, guitar riff when he comes out on the little floating thing.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. And as a fan of X-Men, as a fan of that cartoon, I was like, holy crap.
Right.
That's speaking to me.
Which,
that's awesome.
Isn't that who they're trying to target to?
I hope so. Because
I'd like to think so.
You want people like me to be an advocate for your movie to people who are not like me, that are on the fence or don't know about it or don't want to watch
and if they don't know about it, then it probably just will go over their heads.
Yeah.
But for a lot of these things, which are a lot of us that are going to see those movies, I mean, they're trying to service us. So might as well do that. So in those sense, I say play it up.
Speaking of servicing us, let's talk about something that probably isn't aimed at us at all. And so our relationship to this material is going to be somewhat far out in orbit.
Oh,
Barbie.
Oh,
yeah. I never played with Barbies as a kid. I can't speak.
I thought you were talking about Fast and Furious. Okay.
No, we're done with Fast and Furious. We crashed that car.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Barbie. Yes.
Barbie.
I don't know about that one. Ryan Gosling. Too many Ryans in this cook. Man, Ryan Gosling. It seems so fantastic in this role, though. I'm so happy. Like both Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are killing it.
Yeah. The movie looks like it's packed with people who are just chewing scenery and having a good time.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's because the movie is sort of just a chaotic wonderland of whatever, or if they're really like all very carefully arranged pieces of a puzzle that's going to eventually show us something profound when everything is said and done, because the trailer certainly isn't giving us a lot of information about the narrative of the film, about the sort of arcs that we're trying to accomplish. But it's got, Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. It's also got Kate McKinnon. It's got Will Ferrell. It's got Simu Liu. It's got, a whole host of other actors and actresses who are playing different versions of Barbie and their associated cast of other toys and stuff. And it seems like it has a real world, non-real world kind of a vibe to it.
Very Truman Show, but also kind of like Elf-ish, where it's like a different world and they had to go to the real world. So it's an interesting concept for a movie. Yeah. And they acknowledge even in the trailer that it's going to be for people who don't like Barbie as much as it is for people who do like Barbie. Yeah. And this is kind of where I fall in the middle of two camps, though. I don't hate Barbie. I don't know anything about Barbie, but I also don't like Barbie because I don't know anything about Barbie. Right. That's kind of where I'm at too, because it's like I don't know. Like I think that is actually like the brilliance of this marketing. Yeah. Because like when they're making a Barbie movie, everyone was like, okay, all right, what are you gonna do with this? The next toy franchise like Transformers or G.I. Joe to make a movie about. And so they're like, all right, fine, you're right. We'll lean into that, and we'll lean into it heavily because the reference is going to be good. Because anyone that's not under the age of 10 would actually be interested in a Barbie movie. Yeah. So if you just lean into that chaoticness of it, or even to like that Toy Story 3 level chaoticness when they saw the Barbies. Honestly, that's really what I think is like kind of an inspiration for this movie, because they really played into that in that movie with the dorkiness, the outfits of Ken, how they didn't really take Ken seriously, how he's just kind of a one-note guy. He's a weird caricature of a man. But in that movie, Barbie was a lot more established and had a lot more of a character growth, kind of like this movie. Yeah. So if there's anything they could pull, I'm happy they kind of. It's funny too, took it from because Barbie is a brand that obviously needs no help
in selling itself. Like, this movie isn't designed to sell more Barbies. Not really. Not in the strictest sense.
Maybe not.
People like Lego. People know Barbie. People know
Yeah.
Lego. It's not like the movie helped them sell more Lego. I probably did, and that's a stupid thing to say. But it wasn't designed chiefly with that purpose.
Right.
And
same with Mario. Kind of same thing.
Sure, exactly. And so if they poke fun at themselves, that might honestly lend some credibility to the brand outside of its normal audience.
Which I think sometimes you have to do. I just brought up Mario, which I think kind of did the same thing.
Yeah.
Because you have to poke at yourself a little bit because of like the outlandishness of it in a way. Of a Barbie movie, of a Mario movie.
Yeah.
Because they can't do a live action Mario movie. They can, but you know where that goes, or we've seen where it goes. So they had to poke fun at that a little bit.
It's true. So when they made G.I. Joe, which is not a one-to-one, not a one, yeah, Channing Tatum, and then they did a sequel with The Rock. G.I. Joe is a movie that is like the boy version of the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm describing here is simply the toy they chose, not the actual movie they made. They played that movie
seriously,
very seriously.
And they're like, "What if we actually did this?
Yeah. What if there was really a special mission force, and they were really hyper serious, and they were really specific, and it was a world saving threat or whatever." And the movies are fun to watch, but
they're not
profound. They are not.
No.
And we've seen another type of G.I. Joe-like movie with a movie that was made in the late 90s called Small Soldiers.
Oh, yes.
So Small Soldiers was a movie where it was like G.I. Joes come to life to try and fight their enemy force or whatever. And they become these sort of like child's play, puppet master little like terrors that try and kill adults and stuff.
Like actual adult, yeah.
And it's a crazy film.
It is crazy.
But they lend into this sort of concept of the meta conversation about G.I. Joes as an idea, as a mission, as a toy about violence and that kind of thing, as opposed to playing out the lore on screen.
Right, because it wasn't G.I. Joes, but they were very inspired by the G.I. Joes. And then the bad guys of that actually became the good. God, I love Toy Soldiers.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
What a pull.
So the Barbie movie seems to though have to hit in like a third category almost.
Yeah.
Where it's like let's hit the lore angle, but let's also go over here and talk about the Barbie as a concept, because we have that whole moment in the trailer with Will Ferrell playing the Mattel executive. They even show that scene in the Mattel office with the big gray Mattel logo on the wall when normally it's a red Starburst logo. They're trying to give that corporate drone type of atmosphere to the Mattel Corporation, which is sort of poking fun at themselves.
They really are. Wow.
It's interesting.
I mean, I don't think anyone besides Mattel would get hurt by that.
Probably.
Because it's Mattel. Who cares? They're making all the money. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I'm still going to see Oppenheimer first. I'm sorry.
I think you should.
Yeah.
I mean, your dollar should be spent however you want to, and Oppenheimer looks like it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy and Nolan still has my money, and that's probably going to stay there.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely see Barbie right after, because again, it looks interesting.
You're going to leave Oppenheimer and go straight from the nuclear bomb flick into Barbie?
Yeah, I got it.
Same day?
Yeah, same day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, same feel. Definitely going to have
the same feel.
All right, Barbie, you better take me through emotions on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
where's the bomb drop in the Barbie movie?
There's probably going to be a few, to say the least. But man, is there any other movies this summer that you're looking forward to besides that Flash movie?
Oh, Flash. I'm sure we'll talk about Flash when eventually it comes out. TMNT, I think, is going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
When TMNT finally comes out, I'm excited for that one.
Okay, so just because we haven't covered it yet, let me talk to you about The Little Mermaid, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you going to see it? Or do you want to see it besides Disney Plus, where you can just kind of watch it?
I do have Disney Plus, and so the temptation to watch it in theaters is pretty mild.
Yeah, right?
The only reason I'm going to see Dune 2 in theaters is because I can't watch it on HBO Max.
That's a good point.
Because I watched Dune 1 on HBO Max when it came out. I didn't go to theaters. Then it was during the pandemic, sure.
Yeah.
But I got a nice TV.
Yeah, honestly,
it's fun to watch movies at home.
Yeah, people don't talk next to me or unless I want them to, kind of thing. Yeah, you can pause it if you really wanted to.
I don't know. I also like Disney cartoon movies.
Mm-hmm.
I think Disney cartoon movies have this way of showcasing things very, very methodically.
Okay.
Movies cannot not be methodic. They can very well be crafted in a way. Wes Anderson has proven that.
Sure.
Where they can be very specific, very nuanced. But Disney movies have always been this thing where everything animated needs to be animated with intention. There's no accidents in animation. Not really, anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
And So when you see something with like the Lion King or the Little Mermaid or whatever, it's placed there, generally speaking, very, very specifically.
Mhm.
When you do a live action version, probably you're 95% of the way there. And it's death by degrees, certainly. But I don't know, it kind of loses some of the magic for me, as weird as that is to say.
No, I get it.
I think Little Mermaid is going to be a fine film. I think The Lion King that Favreau did was a fine film.
But they're fine.
But they're fine. And so I'm not excited to go watch it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. They just seem like real, just cash grabs. It's more just like, oh, how are they going to tell a story I enjoy in a different way?
Yeah.
Or let me go see these new songs that are
Yeah.
going to be represented, which I heard the representation of the songs are stellar, which
Lin-Manuel Miranda has rewritten music for that movie.
which is cool, which sure, but like I don't want to, I'm sorry, I don't want to pay for a ticket to see what did they add to a movie that I already enjoy
Yeah.
and own or could see on Disney
Exactly.
Plus.
Like I remember watching Moana for the first time and being absolutely blown away with how beautiful Moana was.
Mhm.
And I'm not really that excited, if I'm being brutally honest, to watch a live action version of Moana, even though it's going to push representation on screen, even though it's going to have a lot of inclusivity in it. Those are
That's
very,
great.
very good things.
Maybe
But
just do it with those actors and with this just original story.
I guess, yeah, I don't know.
That's too much to ask. I'm sorry.
I mean, but even not even talking about representation though. Beauty and the Beast with Emma Watson and the Beast and Gaston,
Right.
like as an animated feature, the movie topped charts. It was a crazy film, like beautiful, gorgeous, push technology in some crazy ways.
Oh, absolutely.
The live action movie, bleh.
Yeah, because you have to hire writers for those, and we
Yeah.
can't have that.
Yeah.
So, which
And it's the same story,
I don't know.
give or take,
Yeah.
really. But it comes down to the presentation style. It comes down to how hard you want it. Animation gets away with a lot
Yeah, it does.
because it's animation, and you can do emoting when you draw faces so well that it's mesmerizing.
Yeah,
But when you put an actor and you're trying to emote, you got to really have a good actor.
Yeah, you have
they
to-
can emote really well with their face. They
exactly.
can cry the right way. They can be happy the right way. They can be inquisitive the right way, because I can draw that face exactly the way that I want it to look to send that emotional beat to my brain when I'm watching it.
Right.
And that's hard.
And to try to already have that prerequisite and then try to transfer that to
Yeah.
on screen and do it just as good.
That's a fair point. I wonder if it would be different if it went the other way around.
It probably would, because with the acting in that sense of what you're saying,
Yeah.
like, yeah, you could draw and animate it way better than the live action performance did, because you could do everything they did, just more literally animated,
Sure.
just more verbose.
Yeah.
Whatever they nailed in that role, you can just do it and just highlight it more.
Yeah.
Versus the opposite, where you can still try to play that up, but how do you make Flounder as expressionful as he was in a cartoon version?
Yeah, you make him a giant CGI fish, but then you still want to make him look somewhat realistic as a fish, so he doesn't look like a weird,
But now he just looks like a fish.
human-faced fish.
But now he's just a fish.
But now he's just a fish.
Because
yeah.
if you look at it, or at least, again, haven't seen the movie, I'll probably wait. At this point, I kind of just feel like I have to, because I don't want these movies to continue. They do. Sebastian looks like a crab. Flounder looks
Yeah.
like a fish. And I guess that's what they all are going to look like.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a level of uncanny valley there for me a little bit too, when they
Yeah.
do things like talking cats in movies or talking dogs in movies.
okay.
Like an animated movie with a talking dog, the dog will still have subtle human mannerisms,
Yeah.
because it's the fact it's animated, like Oliver and Friends or
Yeah.
All Dogs Go to Heaven or anything like that, right? All those characters will still talk the way that a human kind of talks, even though they're in a dog's body,
Yeah.
because the animator is able to perfect that transmission of information. When you're doing something like Air Bud or whatever, where the dog needs to, I don't think Air Bud talks, but as a movie about a dog, right?
Or like Garfield.
Garfield or Milo and Friends or something like that,
Yeah.
right? Those dogs, when they talk, it's almost like America's Funniest Home Videos.
It
It's like a
does.
guy talking over a dog.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same thing.
Yeah.
And it just feels weird to watch and try and pull any emotion out of, because they have to sell it all in the performance, because the dog isn't giving them anything.
No, because it's a dog. Actually, Garfield wasn't a good example, because Garfield, they didn't do that with him.
Oh,
They
it's animated?
Well, yeah, it's an animated Garfield,
There
because
you
he
go.
has like eyes that are like this big.
Sure. So it's more of a cartoon.
And it works better in that, because
Yeah.
it's all that.
Yeah.
And then you know that's what Garfield is. And so
Right.
you just kind of believe it and kind of keep going. Plus, it's Bill Murray, and he sells it.
So Little Mermaid, man, I like Little Mermaid a lot as a movie.
Yeah.
I think that the casting choices for this film were inspired. Like, I think they're very good.
Yeah.
I'm just not excited to watch it.
Yeah, it's not really about the casting or anything, or even like the live actionness of, or it's
kind of just the fact that it's live action. I've seen it before, and I'm arguably, for how my brain works, seen it better.
Yeah. I appreciate the differences in it. If they would have leaned into the differences more,
sure,
that's where I really would have been interested. Because like if they did a Pinocchio like Guillermo del Toro, that's where I'm like, okay.
The Del Toro Pinocchio was wild.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Tom Hanks Pinocchio where it was just a copy and paste slapped on.
Yeah.
Which is like, again, I'm just watching the same movie. So you had a Little Mermaid where the mermaids were more people and they're a lot more vicious, or they just had a different spin to it.
Yeah, like the original Hans Christian Andersen like storylines and stuff.
Right.
Or the Brothers Grimm that they're taking these stories from and then very, very much changing them. And
they had like a real like vendetta against the surface world and or something like that, or just something more different, even when they add more songs onto it, or even just change castings or anything like that.
Right.
It's just not enough for me. I want an original story in a way.
Is there a Disney film that you think that they haven't done yet? Because they'll obviously get to it at some point. Is there one you think has the best chance of being live action?
The best chance of being
with it being, I guess, like damaged the least by that transition?
I don't know. There's definitely movies out there that I'd be curious to see live action. Like, what would they do?
Yeah.
Like, I think Emperor's New Groove would be hilarious. Like, how
that'd be hilarious because they'd have to make the llama a cartoon character.
I know. And so I think it'd be hilarious for them to try to attempt that.
Yeah.
As far as like ones that I think would actually work, I think The Great Mouse Detective would be interesting because they could, if they leaned into that CGI of what I kind of referenced Garfield, where they just leaned into it like an animated live action of
Absolutely.
It could work. But then that's where it's more just animated to look live action for the entire movie.
That reminds me, did you see the Andy Samberg Chip and Dale movie with John Mulaney?
Oh yeah, I did. I actually I liked that movie.
I thought that movie was fine.
Maybe because I don't care about Chip and Dale, so when I'm
not emotionally invested either. Yeah.
Maybe when I watched it, I was like, "Wow, okay, cool. Oh my god, Ugly Sonic, great."
Yeah, there was a bunch of kind of funny jokes in there, but that movie also had a lot of things to say about animation and that kind of stuff. And some of them were, pretty negative because they're true of the time they were in, and some of them were kind of funny because the Chip and Dale in that film, if they had just cast literally like real chipmunks.
Yeah.
Or even tried to make photo real chipmunks,
it wouldn't have worked.
It wouldn't have worked.
No.
Because Dale went through the 3D effect or whatever.
He got
but
CG.
the 3D effect still made him look like a CGI.
Well, he got CG surgery.
Chipmunk. Yeah, exactly.
So good.
Yeah.
Which and if they just did that, that's great. I think if they would have had Flounder be a little bit more cartoony, weirdly enough, I think it would have worked better for them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess this movie's probably gonna be doing well, so we'll see.
We'll see.
Okay. Well, I'm floundering enough over here. You want to call it?
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
All right. See you next time.
Toodles.